Okay, let's talk about building your business. Start by, most of you guys know my history, and I would place all of the success of Bridge, the success of the movie, the success of everything to the principles I'm going to be teaching you tonight. Because this is where it all starts. It starts with getting super clear about what it is that you want. And creating that vision statement, creating the clear set goals on everything that you want to achieve. So we went through a lot of stuff over the last couple days. If you don't believe that you are worthy of success, it's going to sabotage it right there, right? You have to trick your mind. Fake it until you make it, and that's okay. You know, when I was dead broke, instead of focusing all of my energy on my dead brokenness, I would look in the mirror and I would shave a millionaire. Okay? I wasn't a millionaire, not even close. But it was that seeing myself as that person is what brought that energy in, and it helped me attract the right people. If you've got, here's what's crazy. Over 60% of professionals and leaders, over 60% of us in this room have imposter mentality, or imposter, what do you call that? Imposter syndrome, okay? What does that mean? That you don't feel worthy of being in a room with a wealthy investor. You don't feel worthy of being the guy that has that petition. You're worried that maybe people will find out that really you're not that guy, right? And that's okay. Because everybody's feeling that way, all of them. You know, it's something that we need to start with, changing your mindset about yourself and visualizing that success even before it even happens. And so a lot of what we're going through today is getting your mindset right, and the last 3 days was all about that, and getting that mindset right. That's on right now? Okay, good. So I'm just going to walk you through starting when I was 20 years old and getting just the things that I did that got the successes that we wanted. So when I was 21, 22 years old, I was blessed to have a mentor that taught me a few of these principles. Number one, he taught me the principle of dream building. Okay? And what is dream building? This is putting together your vision board. It's going and seeing things. How many people in here have gone and driven a car that you can't afford yet, not even close, because you were purposely figuring out what it was like to feel and drive that car? Has everybody done that? About half, not very many, okay? It's an important principle, guys. If you want your family someday to be in a Mercedes, if you want to drive a Lambo, if you want to have a Ferrari someday, you have to go to the Ferrari dealership they might not let you drive a Ferrari yet, right? But you can go there and walk around them and sit in them. And what do you do when you're sitting in that Ferrari? You visualize it. You think about, okay, smell it. What does that leather smell like, right? Maybe start the engine. If your goal is to have a Ferrari, you damn well better know what that engine sounds like. And it better just get you excited. You're like, yeah, right? And you better know the difference between a Lambo engine and a Ferrari engine and what they sound like, right? This is what real dream building is. It's getting to the point where you can smell and taste and see yourself in that vehicle, in that car, in front of those crowds, whatever it is, right? I remember when we were broke. We were in a little teeny one-room apartment. It was so bad that the upstairs, it was so thin that every single time our neighbors got in a fight, we could hear every word of the fight, right? And I was like, crap. And, you could hear them when they were making love, all of this stuff. I'm like, this is a horrible place to be. How can I get out of this? And so when I'm broke in that place, I'm in a car that I was so broke at that time that my air conditioner broke. And I I looked into a new it was going to cost me like $300 for this new air conditioner. I didn't have $300. And we were in Utah. And in Utah, the summers are hot, right? And so I drove, not as hot as Arizona, right? I drove the entire summer without an air conditioner, saving up enough money. Finally, when I had the $300 saved up, I went to go get it fixed. Guess what it was? It was a $15 fuse, right? It was just this little fuse, but that's how broken. But guess what I was doing that summer? I was out visualizing where I wanted to be. I remember I'm broke as crap. I'm in this crappy little car, and we're in this parking lot with a bunch of Mercedes, and it's late at night, and I'm just dreaming. I'm looking at this one. Oh, I love the front of this. Oh, this is beautiful. Because I didn't even. I was scared to even go in and have them let me drive one of those things at the time, right? So I'm at night after work, and I'm looking at these Mercedes, and I'm just imagining myself. And then I pull out, and I accidentally turn the wrong way on a one-way street that's literally the on-ramp onto the freeway. And I'm going, and all of a sudden, there's all these cars coming right at me. I'm like, crap! So I take an exit, and sure enough, one of those cars coming at me was a cop. He pulls me over. So I said, best day of my life. I am so sorry. We were looking at Mercedes. Someday, I'm going to have. So it's this, I'm talking about this, and I totally wasn't even thinking, went the wrong way. But then asking him a question so he feels like he's doing a good job. I said, you know what? I need to go the other way. I'm turning this side street. Can I make a U-turn here? Is it legal for me to make a U-turn on this little side street? And he's, well, yeah, that law used to be one where you couldn't do U-turns in downtown Salt Lake, but now it changed. And so he felt, and of course he let me go. Now I have hundreds of examples of that. I was up in the mountains, and we had spent this time backpacking. I was going in a 55 mile an hour zone. I was going like 90, almost 100 miles an hour. This cop pulls me over. And so, best day of my life. Oh, I'm so sorry. We just came from this beautiful, amazing, trip, and I wasn't even thinking. I'm so sorry. And learning a lesson I'm going to last the rest of my life, right? I'm not going to do that anymore. Of course, I didn't even. But you know what? I know that you don't have a choice in having to give me it because I was going so fast. But after we finish all this up, are you driving between here and Hebrew? Is that your route? Yeah, it is. Can you just keep your eyes open? I'm really low on gas, and this is probably just a wives' tale, but somebody told me that you get better gas mileage at like over 85 miles an hour. Is that true? This is way back in the day when you didn't have the things. And he goes, no, son, the best gas mileage on my freeway is 55, right? So I can tell you hundreds of those. But anyway, back to the principle of dream building. Almost at least once a week, we would take the time to go look at things we couldn't afford, to imagine being in that lifestyle, okay? I remember going to construction sites of big freaking houses, and I'm like, whoa, that's huge. Guess what? There's no guard here, and there's no gate, right? So here we are with our little flashlights at night, walking through these half-built houses, thinking, what would we build here? What do you think this is going to be? This is going to be a huge living. Holy crap, they've got a bowling alley they're putting in the basement. This was expanding my vision of what was, I didn't even know people had bowling alleys in their houses, right? Until I went to ones that actually had it. And I visualized every single time. I remember when the first time I was driving a Mercedes, I'm driving and I'm seeing that little Mercedes symbol in front of me. And all I could do is just, someday I'm going to have that's going to be my symbol right there in front, and I'm going to imagine that. And so finding time to dream build physically, not just the pictures, you've all got your hopefully does everybody in here have a vision board? Okay. Who has a vision board in this room? Okay. We got work to do. Okay. And I like having a physical one. Don't just find something on your computer, okay? Go spend an hour or two at Barnes & Noble in the magazine section. Find the DuPont registry for fine homes and nice cars, and buy a couple of those magazines and go through them and cut those freaking pictures out, okay? And put them up there. Now, balance is important. I want you also to take pictures of things that are really important in life. Is Ferraris and Lamborghinis and big houses really important in life? They're good. There's nothing wrong with them. What's really important in life? Okay, happy family, safe kids, healthy relationships, a relationship with God, whatever it is. Those are all things that you need to include in your vision board as well. So cutting out pictures, if your goal is to have a happy marriage and be super into find a picture of a couple holding hands with the sunset or something like that, and have that as a little picture on there. This is important, guys. It's keeping that in front of you all the time so you can see it and visualize it. Some of you have heard this next story, but I think it's super important. When I was 20, I was 31 years old. I had sold my company at 29 and for $20 million, right? And a lot of these principles I'm going to teach you is how to do it. Now, a lot of that was in stock, but about a year plus later, my wife at the time was 29 years old. Now, let me back up. When we were married, she was 112 pounds. She was a model for McCarty's. Okay, they're the ones that do the swimsuit issue in Sports Illustrated. She was a dancer on the Crimson Line at the University of Utah. We got in a major car accident 1 month before we got married. That major car. Now, I was a concert pianist, and I was putting myself through school to be a surgeon. And in that accident, I severed the tendons in my hand. I still have I-80 in my hand. That's 30 years old pieces of dirt and car, whatever from the road as my hand got destroyed, right? In that same car accident, she broke her pelvic bone really bad. Wasn't able to dance, wasn't even able to exercise at all, and she started putting on weight. And then we got pregnant with twins. And then we got pregnant again. So here she is, fast forward, 29 years old, 230 pounds, double the size that she was when we got married. 230 pounds. And I was at a conference, and I was mentoring young entrepreneurs on how you can be, do, and have anything that you want. Anything that you want. All you have to do is decide what it is. And I did a similar to what we're doing today. And I was teaching them, dream. What is it that you can dream of? In fact, I want you to write down these words. If time and money were not a problem, I had infinite time, I have infinite money. If time and money were not a problem at all, and I knew I couldn't fail, it was impossible to fail. I have a 100% chance that I'm going to succeed. If time and money was no issue and I knew I couldn't fail, what would be your dream? Okay? Now, I'm going to pause for a second, and I want each of you to think through that. If time and money were no issue, and you can have 3 or 4 things there. This could be, I want to be president of the United States. I want to go to the moon. I want to have a super healthy relationship with the perfect guy who loves every minute of the time with me. I want to have a 20,000 square foot house with a basketball court in the basement and a swimming pool in the backyard, and have all of the important people in my state know who I am and come there. Whatever it is, if you knew you couldn't fail, absolute 100% chance of succeeding, and there was no limits, time and money, you had unlimited resources to do it, what would you dream? What would you dream? Take a minute on that for a second. It's probably the most important question, because that removes all of the things in the middle. In fact, sometime later today, I'm going to ask you each what the answer is. Okay? So I want you to be thinking about it right now. And I'm going to tell you some stories on the way through. But I want you to personally be thinking about, if time and money were no issue and you knew you couldn't fail, what would you dream? So I taught a seminar at a bunch of young entrepreneurs, and I was helping them see and believe that they could create anything in their life. We were on the way home from that, and my 230-pound wife, she said, Paul, I was listening to what you said, and I want to do something great. with my life. And I said, what do you want to do? And I asked her the same question I asked them. If time and money were no issue and you knew you couldn't fail, what would you dream? And she said, oh, you're going to laugh at me. I said, I will not. She said, since I was a little girl, I wanted to be an NFL cheerleader. Now, number one, we don't have an NFL team in Utah, okay? Number two, my wife is 29 years old and a mother of 3. Number 3, I don't think there's any NFL cheerleaders that weigh 230 pounds, right? Anywhere. And we kept talking over the next couple of days. I realized she was serious. She said, when I was 14 years old, I danced at a halftime game at a 49ers halftime. And I saw these women all dancing. And I thought, that would be so awesome, is to be a 49ers cheerleader. Now, she had broken her pelvic bones 8 years before, but it was healed now. But she was still 29 years old, mother of 3, living in Utah, 230 pounds, right? And and this is so important when it comes to visualization. That if time and money were no issue and you knew you couldn't fail. Now that's a pretty crazy dream for somebody in that position. That's about like most of us here in this room saying, I would like to walk on the moon, right? That's pretty close to impossible. But when you open your mind up in that way and remove all the obstacles in the middle, it makes a huge difference. And so I realized she was serious. And I knew the importance of that vision board, okay? For the vision board for her, I needed her to see it, breathe it, believe it, as if it was already happening, okay? This is the thing, guys. You need to, and when you're driving that Ferrari, when you're looking at that house, when you're imagining that perfect relationship, whatever it is, when you're imagining the size of your business, you need to feel it emotionally. Thoughts don't create by themselves, guys. Thoughts do not create by themselves. It has to come with emotion. Emotion is the power that drives the creation in the universe, okay? And so how do you create that emotion? You have Tony Robbins in his UPW events, he takes you to the point where you can feel it, you can see it, you're imagining it with everything in your body, and you can taste it and feel whatever it is that you're creating. And then emotionally, he takes it away from you and then has you put it back again. Okay? So I needed her to emotionally see it. So some of you heard this story. For Christmas that year, and this was like in December, we had this conversation. I went online, I found a girl who was a San Francisco 49ers cheerleader who had hair similar to Tiffany. That's all I was looking for, is just similar hair. Why? Because the body, of course, wasn't. And the face was a totally different person. And I did an Adobe Photoshop and I put her face on there, the very best I could, so it really looked like it was her dancing in that 49ers outfit, right? And I put at the bottom of it, Tiffany Hutchinson, San Francisco 49ers Gold Rush cheerleader. Okay? Every single, she started crying when she opened it up. Every single day, every single night before she went to bed, without fail, she spent a minimum of 5 minutes looking at that picture. Okay? Now, this is why I don't want your vision board somewhere in your computer in some file somewhere. You need to have it where you can see it every day, where it's right there in front of you. Even if it's little pictures on your mirror in your bathroom. Somehow you need to have that vision of where you want to be, whatever it is. If it's not pictures are great because they create emotion, but words are also important to tie to it. So seeing Tiffany Hutchins, seeing her name right there, San Francisco, that was so important. When you're seeing yourself as this business leader that's put your name in lights. Paul Hutchinson, fund manager of a multi-billion-dollar fund, right? And what does that look like? Well, it looks like having stuff, and it looks like having influence, it looks like giving back. And so every single night before she went to bed, she looked at that. 5 minutes minimum. Before she got out of bed, she looked at it. And she included that. She was visualizing what it was going to be. And we didn't put any money at all into any surgery at all. It was 100% exercise that it just motivated her every day. She got out of bed with that dream in mind of being a 49ers cheerleader, and she exercised every single day for a minimum of 2 hours, sometimes 4 hours a day that she put into her goal. Just looking at that picture wasn't going to create it, guys, but it's going to make sure that everything that you're doing is attracting those things into your life. And so it was 12 months later, she had gone from 230 pounds down to 112. Okay? Lost all her pre-wedding, all of that stuff, down to her pre-wedding weight, right? Now, here's the crazy thing. Even if you're 23 years old and really sexy and a really good dancer, getting on that team is super hard, right? It was interesting because I told her, I said, sweetie, the tryouts are a week long. And they cut half the people the first day, half the people the second day, half the people the third day, half the people the fourth day until the very end. So you got a 50-50 chance of being gone the very first day. Plus, you're 29 years old and mother of 3, right? And so she and I told her, I said, I can book the hotel for a whole week, or I can just do it, individual days. We can save a little bit of money if the whole week. But if you get cut, then we have nothing to do. We'll have to just sit there. And she said to me, if I get cut, she said, I've been hearing you preach for years that you can create anything and you want. She said, that shouldn't even be in our vocabulary, right? And we're going to be talking about the language of faith in a second. And even the idea, even verbalizing those words that she might get cut was completely out of alignment with what I taught. And so she said, if I get cut, no, book it the entire week because I'm not getting cut. Sure enough, we booked it the whole week. First cut, there was 500 girls trying out. There was not one of those girls outside of her that was over 25 years old. Not one. Okay? None of the girls trying out had 3 kids. None of the girls trying out lived in Utah, lived in another state. Why would a girl in Utah travel to California? That's ludicrous, right? Her chances of making it were almost none. 500 girls, boom, they cut 250 of them, she stayed. Then they cut another 125 and boom, she stayed. And then they cut another 75, boom, she stayed. 500 girls trying out, 3 spots available on the team, and she was the first pick. She achieved the impossible. Why? Why did she achieve it? Number one, she believed that something that most people would think was completely impossible. If time and money were no issue, you knew you couldn't fail, what would you dream? That was this boom dream. And number 2, every single day, she visualized with clarity and with emotion that she was going to be that person, that she was going to make it. This is, I'm telling you guys, having that emotional connection to it is more important than all of the how-to stuff that I'm going to teach you. In fact, a couple years after that, I was mentoring some young business owners, and my mentor at the time was a guy by the name of Steve, and I was mentoring this guy by the name of Dallas, and I was super excited to bring Dallas to meet my mentor Steve. Right, I had been helping Dallas with his company and helping him, figure out what he was going to do and everything else, and we're in the back. Steve had this beautiful, beautiful Mercedes. And I put Dallas up front with Steve driving, just so we could go for a drive and, just talk and whatever else. And Steve was so busy that getting time with him was almost impossible. So what I said, Steve, here's the deal. Anytime you're flying out of town, anytime, you tell me, I will drive my car to your house. I will ride with you to the airport so you don't have to leave your beautiful car at the airport, right? You fly out, you tell me when you're coming back, I'll make sure it's in a safe garage, and then I'll come and pick you up. So that gave me mentoring time with a mentor that didn't have time for me, right? It created a service for him. And so this time I'm like, hey, Steve, is it okay if I bring one of the guys that I'm mentoring? Yeah, that's great. So I bring Dallas. And I said, Dallas, sit in the front with Steve. I just really want you to get to know him as we're driving. So I'm sitting in the back seat, and Steve's driving. He said, Dallas, why do you want a successful company? What's your dream, Dallas? And Dallas said, well, that's the problem. And Steve said, what was that? And I thought that Steve didn't hear him because I had talked to Dallas and it was hard. I was trying to figure out really what he wanted. So I leaned forward and I said, Dallas, I said to Steve, Steve, he said, that's the problem. He doesn't really know what his dream is. And Steve said, no, Paul, that's your problem. I said, that's my problem that Dallas doesn't have a dream? Why is that my problem? He said, what are you teaching him? How to build his company, how to talk to people, that I'm teaching him all the how-tos. He goes, a man who understands why is never at the mercy to a man who simply understands how. Write that down. A person who understands why is never at the mercy to somebody who simply understands how. Okay? The why is by far the most important part of the equation. And for me, sitting there mentoring him, thinking that I was going to teach him the how when he didn't have a why was completely fruitless on my part. He said, more important than sitting down with Dallas and teaching him how to run his finances and put together a spreadsheet and bring in the right investors, more important than any of that, you need to take him and identify his dream. Now, what does that look like? Dream building, okay? Go into Barnes & Noble and finding magazines that have stuff that would... Now, here's the thing, is stuff everything? No. I use things, you guys heard this in my intro video a few times, I use things, houses, cars, helicopters, jets, nice stuff. I use things to motivate myself to do the right thing long enough until I get to the point where I can realize the right reason to be doing it isn't things. But guess what? It's really, really hard to motivate yourself just so that you can give money away to help save kids, okay? If that's your only motivation, that's the only thing on your dream, especially when you're getting started, it's hard. It's hard to get out of bed in the morning just for charity stuff. So it's okay to have a vision board full of beautiful things that motivate you. Find stuff that motivates you, that gets you excited about moving forward and creating something amazing in your life. Okay? So the next time I see all of you, you dang well better all have a vision board. Okay? Together as a family, as a couple, figure out what you want. Figure out why you're building your company, why all of that, and include all of this. I remember this young entrepreneur that I was mentoring, and I used to do this thing where I had a small circle and a big circle, right? The small circle is where we are right now. All of us hopefully have a bigger circle of where we want to be. The small circle is, this is the time we get to spend with our family, this is the money that we have, there's all of these things. The bigger circle is the bigger influence. This is the house I want to live in, the cars I want to drive, the influence I want to have, the things I want to give back, the places I want to travel to. That's our dream, that's our vision. And so I was going through this with him, and I like to divide this circle up into pieces of pie so that we make sure that we're not too off balance, right? One of the pieces of pie might be vehicles. One might be houses. One is giving back. One is time with your family. One is traveling. So it's important that you have a balance of all the things that are important. If you get to the point where you've got $1 billion under management and your kids hate you and you're on your third divorce, and then you will have failed in your process moving forward. And those are things that you need to start working on and fixing. So make sure that vision board has has the balance in all the right areas. And so I remember I was sitting down with this young entrepreneur, and we went through this circle, and we were identifying all the different things. I said, okay, and these were some little tricks I would use to help him. I says, okay, if every car cost $1, this is a great way to kind of get you to think about it. If every car cost $1, again, this is the time and money, no issue thing, okay? Every car cost $1, what would you drive? And just for fun, I want everybody to write that down. If every car in the world cost $1, what would you drive? Throw it out. You drive a Porsche. What else? Lamborghini. You have a Land Rover. Rolls Royce. Beautiful. Every car costs $1. What would you drive? GT3 RS. Beautiful car, right? So here's the thing, guys. When you say, who said the Lambo? Who was the Lambo? What color? Okay, see, that pause right there tells me you're not clear on your goal yet. Okay, no, that's okay. Orange is great, but the pause. A Lambo is good in orange, right? A station wagon and Pinto, that's not good in orange. But a Lambo, you can have an orange one, right? But here's the thing. So what color interior do you want? Tan interior. Great. What kind of rims? Have you thought about the rims on that thing? Silver. You want a convertible, non-convertible one. Awesome. See, get super clear. If you just say, I want a Lambo, you'll never get one. Okay? You won't. The clarity on the car that Jaime wants will deeply enhance the fact that he's going to have that someday. He knows the exact color of that car. Probably knows what rims he wants on it and what kind of interior. He probably knows what kind of sound system he wants in the thing, right? That's the kind of clarity you want. Wait. And that's okay too. See, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, Vanessa, would you rather, if time and money, if you had all the cars? Yeah, she needs trucks and stuff. We were the first time she was driving the Ferrari. She's like, she's like, put something in the hood of the Ferrari. Boom, and slammed it down. I'm like, babe, no, we don't slam hoods of Ferraris. She's like, crap. I says that you close and it just goes right in. She's like, no, I don't want that crap. Give me a truck, right? So the answer is every dream that you have, don't feel bad about it, but identify what it is. If it's a Tesla, it's a Tesla. My Tesla was actually my favorite car. More than all the other ones, my Tesla. Why? Because instant when I hit that pedal, I couldn't even move my head off of the back. It was fun as crap, you know? It was so nice, just pushing that down. And what was fun, you know why I got 103 times I got pulled over. but find what's important to you. In fact, I remember I had an employee named Robert. And Robert was, we had a marketing company. We were selling anxiety and depression programs, coaching programs, and he was so good. He was so good. His closing ratio, because his heart was really good. His heart was in the right place. And when he was talking to the people, and he would help them see the value of a personal coach, and he was killing it. But what would happen is Robert would come in, and he'd get on the phone the first week of the month, and boom, he would make enough sales to completely cover his whole lifestyle for the entire month. Now, his lifestyle was a little 3-bedroom apartment, and he didn't have the lifestyle he wanted, but he would kill it. And then what would happen is the rest of the month, he would come in and just nosedive. Boom! He could not make any more sales. Just sucked at it until he ran out of money again. And then boom, he would get back on and it would work. And Robert so badly wanted more. He would come in the office and he was in his cubicle, and he would kneel down in front of his desk and plead to God to help him be successful on the phone so that he could provide for his family. Okay? The problem is is that was not true faith. People think that faith is asking God for things that they don't even believe are going to happen. Robert didn't believe in himself, and so therefore pleading to God to fix things in his life that he didn't think were going to be fixed was futile. Okay? And so I realized what the problem was. Robert saw himself as a $30,000 a year guy. Yet he was fully capable of making $250,000 a year. Fully capable. But he saw himself stuck there. So I said, Robert, this afternoon I want to spend 2 hours with you. Off the phones today, I'll pay you some extra stuff. Don't worry about it. I want to go somewhere with you. We get in the car, and I said, okay, Robert, if every car cost $1, what would you drive? He goes, one of those vans that have the high top and the bed in the back. Well, that's not my dream. I'll never have a van with a bed in the back, Maybe if I painted some flowers on the side, but that was Robert's dream, right? And I said, Robert, have you ever driven one? Oh, no, I can't afford one of those. Have you ever even sat in one? No. I wait until I said, you will never get there unless we go. So we went down to the dealership and we found this van. It was the high top with it converted into a bed in the back and everything. And we got in this and we started driving. And I said, Robert, can you see yourself here? Oh, he says, this is so nice. This is amazing. I said, Robert, do you realize that you are fully capable of earning enough money to pay cash for this thing within a couple months? Cash for it. I've seen your closing ratios when you're on fire. But as soon as you have enough money to pay your bills, you know that because you don't believe that you can get there. I need you to understand this is important not just for you, but it's important as you're building your companies and your employees and everything else. Help them believe. Identify their reason why. Understand that a lot of employees, though, their reason why isn't a Lambo, and that's okay. Their reason why is probably just security. They want time to be able to go to the birthday parties with their kids, and they want to have enough money and to just pay for their groceries, and that's okay. Because there's all kinds of different people, but still identify what their why is. So then I said, Robert, what kind of house would you, if every house cost $1, where would you live? And ask yourself that question as well. Every house cost $1, just $1. You get one chance at it. Boom. What house do you want? Where would it be? Would you have a home in Maui? Maybe. And this is okay too. If every house costs $1, maybe you would just buy 5 houses and have little ones in different places or condos around, whatever it is. Figure out what it is. Get super clear on that visualization. All of the how-to of building your fund, building your real estate company, all of the how-to doesn't matter if you don't understand your why. Okay? So that's why I'm spending so much time on this up front, is I promise you this is the most important part. It's by far the most important part. Because what happens, and we can talk about this a little bit because of what happened the last 3 days. When you have that emotion and you visualize it and you believe it, you will begin to co-create with the universe, co-create with divinity. Okay? That so many times we think that it's all on our shoulders. We have to do all of this stuff. How did Sound of Freedom become the #1 independent film on the planet? Was it because Paul was such a good marketer? Was it because I know how to make really good movies? No, it's because when I emotionally saw what I saw, I knew that I couldn't feel comfortable until the world felt what I felt so that we could create a movement. And that was the why. The why was I need to create this movement for these kids, and I can feel it, I can see it. I don't know anything about this. I don't know anything about these movie things. I don't know this industry at all. But I believe that we're going to get there. And I could see it. I could visualize it. I could see this global movement happening before it ever happened. And when you get into that flow state, when you get into that state of truly emotionally believing it with every single cell in your body, then you begin to co-create with the universe on whatever it is you're creating. You want to be an NFL cheerleader. You want to have a Lamborghini. You want to make it different. It doesn't matter what it is, but get clear on what it is and you can start co-creating. And what will happen is things will start coming into your path